Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first English and international webinar. Nice to see that there are so many of you. We will take a 5-minute academical break. Maybe someone will still join us. In the meantime, Rui and Radek, you are there already, right? We can see you. So as we said, this is a really international event. Me and Tanel are from Estonia, Radek is from Poland, and Rui is from Portugal. And today we are going to tell you everything there is to know about email marketing. Actually, we say that email marketing is like a really specific thing. Well, how hard can it be to send an email? Everyone has Outlook or Gmail account. So, but on the other hand, there are so many things to consider, starting from building lists, GDPR, automated workflows, whatever, psychological things, etc., etc. So the topics are really wide that we can cover. Today we are going to talk about, well, me and Tanel are going to dissect an email. Not a frog, but an email.
To the small pieces. So
to the smallest pieces. Maybe some.
Okay.
You don't hear anything. But others, Rui, Radek, do you hear something? Okay.
Yeah. It's all good.
All right.
Hi, guys. Sorry.
Hi, guys.
But is it
loud enough?
Loud enough, yes. Is it all right? A little
I didn't hear.
Okay, then we come here closer. Okay, we try to speak up a little bit then.
Louder.
All right. Okay, where was I?
So we will dissect this frog.
Yes, we will dissect this frog, which is an email from the time it arrives in your inbox to the footer. Well, when it leaves, when you leave the list or whatever. Radek will tell a little bit more about deliverability. He will introduce himself after us, and Rui Nunes will tell everything there is to know about the strategies of email marketing. Can't wait to hear this. All right, it's 10:05. What do you think?
How many people there?
140.
Okay, actually we can start slowly.
Yeah. And this event is also live streamed on Facebook. Unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties. We couldn't get it to stream everywhere else. But if you go and see our Smaily Facebook page, you can well, view the event from there too. Okay, on another topic, next webinars we are going to probably also do soon in English because the interest is really big, it seems. But the topics are probably something more like email marketing 101, because there are also a lot of important things to cover, what to do. I already mentioned GDPR. This is in European Union an important thing to know. Maybe we can tell you something more about how to build working, and by working I mean which generate money, automated workflows for your e-commerce shops or whatever service provider you are. Everything that can be somehow described can also be automated. And if you can automate your business, this means 24/7 it can work for you. You don't have to do anything. And even some maybe hands-on examples of automated workflows that we have done for our clients that really work. All of these materials of the webinars are free. They will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. Subscribe there too. We will send also to every participant a small summary of the event with an email.
all the slides,
and
all
the
the
slides,
materials.
yes, all the materials. We will also attach a white paper. We have generated quite a few interesting white papers of the most important things about email marketing. And Rui will later also tell about a book he will give to one of the participants of today's webinar. But yes, he will later tell it by himself what you will have to do to get this book. Okay, so this is us.
This is us.
Nice to meet you. I'm Erkki Markus.
And I'm Tanel.
We are from Smaily. Smaily is a small-ish email service provider from Estonia. We are in the email marketing field already 10 plus years. We have Smaily has about 20,000 users. We sent 120 to 160 or so millions of emails every month. And in Estonia, we have about 85% market share, but we have clients all over the Baltics and Scandinavia, etc. What differentiates us from competition? Well, there are, I think, thousands of email marketing service providers in all over the world, but we also try to think a little bit with the client. We also provide agency services. We help build integrations, custom landing pages, content, do analyzation. Some of our clients are sending one-to-one personalized emails, which, for example, in the world only Amazon or eBay are doing, and this works really, really well. And it's not like
so magic.
Not so much magic. Yes, everything can be done with simple tools. You just have to know where to ask this, and for us, it has been worked really well. And this is why we are here, and we can share some of this knowledge to you. Maybe it helps you also.
Okay.
So the question is, what makes a good newsletter? First things first.
Good offer.
A good offer.
Yeah.
You have to give 100% discount, I think.
Exactly.
This is a good email. But if you are in the business to business, or maybe you are sending just news and not some offers.
Okay. Probably right.
Okay. A newsletter, we say, consists of two parts. The first part is the part that gets the email opened. So, and the only thing that gets the email open is the subject line or sender's name. If my grandmother will send me a newsletter, then I don't care what the subject line is. I will always open the email. But for everyone else, all the same rules apply. So if you will get this email opened thanks to perfectly combined subject line or preheader or preview text, and the sender name is trustworthy, then the second part, the content part, can start to work. And from there on, you will only think what images to use, what texts, is there a call to action, etc., etc. Together, they are combined as one. They must work as one. All those elements support each other. But so if you do everything we tell you today, you will get the winning newsletter formula.
So let's start with the subject line.
Yes, the most important thing with an email is the email subject line.
So let's take a deeper look. What you have to do to get the perfect subject line.
Yes, well, the subject line cannot be something like, oh, hi, this is July's newsletter, and next month this is August's newsletter.
And go on
Yeah.
till the December.
Yes, but the rule of thumb is subject line must deliver one clear message for one email.
Okay, we will try to speak louder.
Okay. Okay. There are some technical suggestions for subject lines.
Probably you have heard of them, but let's just repeat that optimal character count for the subject line is, or which works better, is up to 20 characters. Okay, you can do it like up to 30 characters, up to 40 characters, but you have to keep in mind that not more than 130 characters.
Well, then the technical restrictions will apply. If I'm using my mobile device, probably they will not see what I wrote after this 100 something characters. So this is not useful for you anymore. Also, you would have to pay attention to not use exclamation marks too much. This seems like an obvious suggestion, but we have seen it really much. Our clients send about 200 plus something newsletters every day, and there still are some mistakes. Even such simple mistakes that we are talking about today, they are still there. So, okay, also not using too many uppercase letters. First
Don't
of all,
shout.
yes, this is psychologically, this is like shouting, but this can also trigger some spam filters. Too much uppercase letters, no go.
Yeah, probably you all get some spammy messages, free Viagra with the 10 exclamation marks. So
okay, the Viagra is already another issue. But the most important thing with the subject line is you cannot lie. And by lying, I mean that the subject line cannot tell a different story than the rest of the email is going to tell. So if you are sending an email which subject line is you've got money, as PayPal is sending me sometimes, and the inside is not money, then I'm angry. Why are you sending me this?
yeah, okay. The idea that don't lie is you have to be actually correct, because yeah, of course you can be, let's say, creative to get the point to open this email. But if you're, as Erkki said, that you got money, and you're opening, and the actual content is absolutely different, probably you will not buy, not click, and unsubscribe also.
Yes, we have seen some client cases where our customer sends, oh, hi, let's go get a coffee, which is actually an intriguing subject. But inside the email were offers for coffee machines. Well, since this is an expensive purchase, 0 coffee machines were sold, but yeah, the email got opened. Probably people were not satisfied with the result that they saw in this email. But anyways, the subject line was good, but it didn't match the content that well. Also, don't overdo numbers. Email subject lines with numbers in them have a higher click-through rate, although too many numbers can also trigger some spam filters. I know, for Gmail, they have some machine learning algorithms for that, but some smaller service providers in our area, in the Baltics, I know, they have some rules where you are sending an email that has, I don't know, discount 50% or 60%, something number and a percent that will all automatically get a little bit penalized because of using such combination in the subject line. And if those penalties
will be summarized,
yes,
if you have like
too much
yep,
bad things, and your email might be categorized as spam. Small mistakes can add up to a bigger mistake.
all right.
Okay,
now the Viagra thing.
Yeah, now the Viagra thing. Spam-like words, like everything. Now, free, sale, last items. Well, Viagra, this will automatically ban you, but this is like obvious. No spammy words.
And all those things.
Yes, no spammy words. Emojis. We're going to tell about emojis in a couple of next slides, but conclusion or suggestion is use smart. Emojis work. They are a thing you should probably use more, but smartly. We will tell about this shortly. The best thing about subject line is that it can be personalized. For example, you can send an email, hi Tanel.
Yeah, and But actually, if you are sending like 10 times hi tunnel, you probably think that, all right.
The same thing again.
I got it.
Yeah, the member of board of Estonia's biggest this energy company is sending me personally hi tunnel.
Ooh,
yeah, right.
Probably the first time I will look that it's very personal and I get the point. But if it's going like 10 times more, then it's not gonna work.
Okay, so we say that personalize your emails because you have a better chance of someone opening because of this personalization. Since some personalization might imply that this email was sent directly to me. But personalization can be also based on location. For example, where I live or which shop I use. It can be based on purchase history. If I prefer some brands over the others, if you use this brand in the subject line, then I will probably be more willing to open this email.
Because if you get, let's say, like now we are sportswear, like minus 50%. Okay, I don't know, but now for you, we have the Nike shoes.
Yes.
Then it's
abandoned cart emails should be always with personalized subject lines. Still, this item is in your abandoned cart all the time. Also based on, for example, devices that were used to open the emails. If I usually open the email in a mobile device, this can be somehow automatically segmented with the clients. And based on that, I can also personalize the subject line. Emails, they say that emails with personalized subject lines get opened approximately quarter more than non-personalized. Bobrit is sent a link to our chat. Good reading about spam words. We have read this source. This is a good one. So if you want to know about this more, then click on the link. There are some gotchas, of course, because if you are sending English language emails, then this covers it really well. For every other language, since this is an international event, probably Radek is sending a lot of Polish emails and Rui is sending a lot of Portuguese emails, then those words are not the same. But for biggest inbox providers like Gmail or Microsoft, they have some machine learning algorithms for different languages. So this the basics remain the same. Yeah. And okay, we are not changing slides. You will have to listen carefully. All right. What more about subject lines? Subject lines should be creative,
but not too creative.
Yes. For example, in the subject line, you can use questions. This is like a little bit like intriguing. For example, how can you grow your YouTube channel? Today we streamed something on our YouTube channel, maybe something like that. Well, the question usually gets the email to be opened more. Also, how your email opt-in rate compares to everyone else's. How
then you probably want to see what is inside.
Yes. How we grew a site from 0 to 10K visitors in a month. A little bit like spam email.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I will get every day those things.
Yeah, I will get too. And I never open. Seems not a good suggestion.
Exactly.
Okay, what else? Say something unexpected in a subject line. Tanel, I saw what you did yesterday.
Okay, probably I will look what I did.
Since we are neighbors too, then this might be correct. But okay, for example, 5,000 people can't be wrong. About what?
What? Exactly.
Or last Wednesday, you added Nike running shoes to your basket.
What do you have to do now?
You have to complete the purchase.
Exactly.
Well, and the example I said about you've got money. Or wow, why, where, how? $5 million from Nigeria.
Exactly.
Another suggestion about subject line: create a wish to reply. Are we still on for 12? If it's a sales letter and from a strange person, then I will probably not open this email. those emails get better open results. And if it's legit, then the subject line works good. Let's get a coffee. This was also the example we gave earlier that got the email opened. If the inside email would have been a real invite to drink coffee for some reason, I think conversion rate would have been higher. But if you sell coffee machines, then it's like that.
Okay, and great time critical activity based approach. So open right now. It's like a mail bomb. Or
glitter bomb inside email.
And the action required is also a little bit like all those phishing things.
No, confirm your email now. This is the transactional email message golden rule. You have to have time critical activity in the subject line. So the conclusion with the subject line is, this is the most important thing. I have heard that, the advertising agency guy, this David Ogilvy, who said that he created a perfect subject line with 140 iterations or something like that.
Okay.
And after that, it went out. So subject line is the only thing that gets your email opened. If you align subject line with the content, it can create really well. I think it can create good conversions. What I wanted to say. So this is the thing you will have to focus the most on. Liis is asking, would it be wise to use numbers or hashtags in the subject line?
Probably all those different marks is a little bit tricky.
But anyway, with the email marketing softwares, it's really easy to A/B test. We always suggest A/B test everything. Numbers, those questions, whatever suggestions we gave, and also hashtags. I agree with you, Liis, that hashtags might trigger some more attention to the subject line. It like takes it out from others a little bit better. So I have no experience with this, but give it a try. Maybe let us know later. And Chris is sent a few links to the chat, useful subject line tools, and we will check them out also later. Thanks for that. Let's go on.
We talked a little bit about ideas how to use emojis. So a couple of
examples
here, and done some studies that saying that due to visual and emotion attributes, emoji can be used in marketing activities, as we see, and that emojis play an important role in attracting attention. So here are the great samples, because they are using the emojis relating with the text. Probably mostly what is used, we will show some of numbers that are just smiley faces or hearts or whatever. But here is combined the subject line perfectly with the idea what is going.
Yeah, as I said, we see about 200 plus campaigns every day, and only a few of them are using emojis. But if you want to test it out, you probably your competition is not doing it. So it's a nice way to see how it works. Also, A/B test all the time. So with the emojis, we say that the study that Tanel told you about said that emoji play an important role in attracting attention. Maybe as the same with hashtags. They are a little bit standing out from the wall of text. So they might stimulate social interactions and enhance the experience for consumers, along with the willingness to purchase. This is what the study said. Yeah.
But there, with these hashtags, is one tricky thing more that probably some email providers or some mailboxes will read it like a string for the personalization.
Oh yeah, maybe. Okay.
So one thing more, the last domino pizzas, probably it's more like from America. So
Yes.
don't overreact also with those emoji things.
Yes. Well, basically, emoji simplifies the understanding of text. So as it is with numbers, yeah, it's better to see numbers, for example, 50 as 2 characters than written out 50.
Yeah.
In Estonian, it's a really big word, 50. So, I think the same applies for emojis too. So we say that don't be afraid of them. There is also some statistics that says that about 56% of businesses that use emojis in their email subject lines have a little bit higher click-through rates. But also, it's a matter of testing.
Yeah, and as I said, that there is a couple of analysis by some ESP, and you can see which emojis are being used mostly. As Erkki, we yesterday told that interesting that the trademark or
Registered trademark sites
trademark are the first one, but probably is if they are using brand names in
yeah,
subjects.
Yeah, this is probably an American example from MailChimp, and this is the registered trademark. I think the issue is bigger there, or bigger brands are have sent those emails. So, and this data is collected within 3 months.
So, but mostly are the smiley faces and the hearts.
Yeah, mostly, yeah. Subject lines can be good without emojis too. For example, Sumo has done an extensive summary about 80 best email subject lines. And here's a look at analysis of subject lines taken from a few billion newsletters that delivered the best results, the top 10 of those. It was probably also, I think, an US example because there are a lot of book selling type of subject lines in those examples.
And probably here also, like if you are not in B2C, but B2B or you are a service provider. So yeah, exactly like email marketing trends, you must know how influence improve their sites from the visitors and etc. But also here is the B2C, like this, it's time to rethink Black Friday. As you see, most of them are like, let's say, semi-long things, not so short.
Yes, not so short. Actually, we said a few slides earlier that 10 to 20 characters should trigger the biggest open rate, but it seems that there are some smaller subject lines here too. The content of the subject line is probably a little bit more important than technical aspects of the subject line. But within the same analysis, Sumo created a tool that will help create subject lines for different topics. There are formulas. You can just change the parts of the formulas with your own content, and really nice examples. All those sources that we are covering today are at the bottom of those slides too. You can just click and see this tool by yourself.
Yeah, there is probably a couple of hundreds different logics.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So we're moving on to the pre-header or
preview text.
The term has been used sometimes one way or the other way since we have used it as a pre-header. Well, technically, it is a small hidden text before everything else comes in the email template. So technically, it's a pre-header, but the preview text also applies. The pre-header, it's a way to add more information to the subject line. Most of the email clients, Gmail, Apple Mail, Outlook, those email clients support this feature. Some don't. So you can't put all your eggs in one basket and create a subject line with one word and pre-header is the second part.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it can add to the subject line. Yeah.
There are also a couple of technical things. So not so strict as in the subject line, but you can go from 40 to 140 characters. There are limitations if you are thinking again that more than 50% the emails are open mobile devices. So it's better to keep up to 60 characters.
To create an effective combination of subject line and pre-header, well, basically now you would not have to think only on the subject line, but the combination. What is your main idea with the email and how to say it in a few words in the subject line plus pre-header.
But is there a little bit those things that if you are saying everything with your subject line and pre-header, why I have to look inside?
Because the money is inside.
Okay.
Pre-header can help increase the open rate. Again, it's better to have something important there instead of if you can't see this email, click here.
Yeah.
It lowers complaints. It related to spam. So, and pre-header can consist of, for example, a summary of the content. Subject line is the topic. Pre-header can be a small summary. They can be as tied together, subject line and pre-header. They can urge your subscribers to take a little bit more action than with just the subject line. You can use fear of missing out in the pre-header as you can use in the subject line also, but as we said, it can support the other thing. And of course, the same applies. Be creative with the pre-header too. Here are some examples where the subject line and pre-header complete each other and form a good combination. For example, don't miss on October's speakers. RSVP today. Space is limited.
Yeah, or the second is the time limited, save up to 30%, and coupon expires Saturday. So you have act fast.
Yeah. I think all of those are really good. All right. Now coming back to my grandma. The next important part is in your perfect newsletter is the sender's name and email address. And there are many options. So,
yes, if you're starting to send out your email and put there the sender name, you have to take into account that avoid using names. Okay, you can use it if you are Oprah or Elon Musk.
Yeah,
exactly. But if there is like just the tunnel sending something out, probably you think it's more like spam.
Yeah, it's the same guy that sent me this $5 million from Nigeria yesterday.
Exactly. So it's a much better option to use a person name with a company name.
Yeah.
And if you're using only the company name, it's also totally okay. If you're thinking like Disney or Coca-Cola or whatever, they are so well-known brands that they are using the sender name as their brand. And okay, if I'm getting the email from Nike, I will get.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the rule. If you are a big company, you will use your company name or brand name. If you are a smaller company, then it's probably wise to use your name to give a little bit more personalization with the company name or brand name. So Erkki from Smaily or Tanel from Smaily. This says that, if we go to the content part of our presentation, then we say that you have to personalize there too. So robots are not talking with robots. We are still people talking with other people, and smaller companies are probably a little bit more personal. This is okay to use your name too. But you can also do segments. For example, you use different sender names for different contents. With sales department probably is sending personalized sender names, but newsletters are just
Tanel
sent
from
out.
marketing, sending you some marketing stuff. Erkki from billing, send you the billing things, and customer support. Alice is sending some other things. So you can combine them.
Successful sender's name is trustworthy, easily recognizable, and consistent. So I think trustworthiness is the key here. Yeah. Let's take a look at some examples with sender's name and email addresses. The company name is the most used sender name we have seen from our clients. It is just the name of the company, nothing more. And I think this is okay. Yeah.
And here are
some examples.
Exactly those examples what Erkki told that Mia at Coach Edu and Ben from Coach Edu. So we are combining a little bit personality with the brand name.
Yeah. Your newsletter may be the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
But if your customers can't send you some love or give feedback or ask questions, then you are taking away opportunities to grow your business. And this is where your reply to address comes into the picture. So even if I send Erkki from Smaily, but you want to send me some, oh, hi, Erkki, thanks for your email. I'm very interested. And this ends in, I don't know, black hole. Then it's no use. So basically, a reply to address is as important as a sender's address. A no reply address is a big no-no. I know some big companies do this.
Yeah. Exactly. I had Sony also. It's in my mailbox that maybe you want to actually ask something, or maybe you want to give some extremely valuable feedback that something not working in your website.
Probably the problem with the really big corporations is that in the footer there are also contacts.
Support.
Yeah, you will have to type in the web address, go into e-services or some admin system, and then you can connect. This is like crap.
Okay.
Sorry.
Probably I'm already get frustrated because it's so simple. I'm getting the email, replay, da-da-da.
Today, there are a lot of solutions, for example, bots and machine learning algorithms that can automatically get rid of those out-of-office replies or whatever email addresses not working emails. So using a no-reply address is probably going to hurt you more than it will give some little bit more time for your customer support to deal with this junk. Yeah. So the problem is you make it look like you don't care about your subscribers, you won't receive valuable feedback, and you can even damage your sending or domain reputation with this no reply email address.
All right. We got the first part covered.
Perfect. We have the perfect subject line and sender's name. Everyone is going to want to open our emails now. What next?
But maybe we don't need anything more.
By now. And that's it.
Yeah.
While the subject line and pre-header are important, what you include in the content area and how you build it determines the real success rate of your newsletter. So maybe you have heard that Apple is doing some putting those pipes closed where we can see if people open our emails. So the only indicator from some time on will be action.
Yeah.
If they click, if they purchase, if they come to your event, whatever, if they read your news in what you sent them. So only what you put inside the content that generates actions, purchases, registrations, and so on. Well, this is what you have to know now. Email marketing is usually done to make money. So
yeah, okay. If probably 90% of those are to make money, you have.
Yeah, but you can make money if you have some actions. If you get people to your blog, if you get people to your e-commerce store, and so on.
Yeah, even if you are some, let's say, newspaper or magazine, and you're sending news and information about what's happening in the world. But actually,
all those titles are click magnets.
Yeah.
Dude.
So anyway, you want to do something with this.
Yeah. Okay. There are probably the exception is branding emails that are sent out with a lot of beautiful images, just that you know that the brand still exists. And when you go to the supermarket next time, you will choose their products.
But anyway, you did take action.
Yes. All right, taking a look inside the content. The first part is the newsletter header. It is usually the first thing that you see. So there are a few tips to remember. Let's take a look at some examples. And the most important things here are basically the header should give an overview of the content, what is to come inside the email. The header should be simple and clean. If you are using a menu or some categories on top, there shouldn't be too much of them because it gets bloated. It takes attention away maybe from the action you want the reader to take. And if the header is simple, it should not be higher. We suggest that than 70 pixels or with the menu not more than 200 or something like that pixels, because in some email clients there is this preview pane. For example, in Outlook, if you click on an email, it will automatically show you the first 200 pixels. But if it is like this example down below with the big banner and a lot of
whatever
stuff,
things,
yes, everything that can be put inside an email, then the people don't see what you want to say with the email.
And the second thing also is, as we talking here, probably already like 50% of the emails are opened in mobile. If you're like, I don't know, starting banner is huge, or you have huge amount of things before your products or your actual content, the text starts, then you're opening your email and phone. And if you have to do like before you get to the real content, then this is also will be the problem.
Yeah. So basically the takeaway here is that the header should not distract from the real content that you want to send. While the visual appeal of newsletter is important, you should always consider how your images are displayed. So we say that use images only when necessary. Images are nice as for branding. Okay, you should have a logo probably inside the email, but everything else is if possible, don't put on images.
Yeah, because there are now technical couple of suggestions that keep the proportion of the text and the images like 50-50. It's better or even 60% of the text and 40% of the images, because the spam filter is also looking at okay, how much text and how much images in your email.
Yeah, but we have done a test with one of our biggest clients that wanted to see if a really well designed, beautiful email with lots of images works better than with an email that is done just by drag and drop, dropping the text and the images together, and it looks like a plain email that you will get every time from everywhere. And we saw that there was no difference. Beautiful email, which took a lot of agency hours to build, like design-wise and technically in HTML, got the same results than this simple email. Well, and okay, this was not such a good use case because the client is selling stuff, so you can't sell stuff with just text. You will have to have some images inside, but the information about this stuff that you sell cannot be on the images, but should be probably beside the image or somewhere like that. Okay, technically, doesn't matter what image formats you use, PNG, JPG, and GIF or GIF. For moving images.
Yeah, with the moving images, you just have to look that people still using Outlook, and in Outlook, it's not going to work. It shows only the first frame. We saw one interesting thing when the plane has to fly on the banner, but actually you saw some button there, and you're thinking that, oh right, what is going on?
Yeah, and when you opened this image in browser, you saw that the plane flew over the banner. Yeah, but in Outlook it doesn't work. We suggest you use your own images rather than stock images. It gives a little bit more credibility to the content. Everyone uses the same free stock images usually, so it's not such a good thing. And if you use images inside the email, link those images also to the articles or to the products in your e-commerce store. It eases a little bit the life of your readers. And the last thing about images is don't use too large images. They say that about 600 kilobytes, I don't know how much this is, but it's a number, is maximum. Otherwise, internet speeds are getting faster. They say that in Estonia we have Wi-Fi in every forest, which is not true, but the speed can be low there, and it opens slowly or takes up too much of your this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you have, let's say, like, I don't know, 20 beautiful product pictures here, and everyone is like 1 megabyte big, so it's gonna be 20 megabytes. And if you have like slow internet or whatever, and you're opening and it's starting to download the pictures.
Actually, this doesn't. What I mean is, Google is also measuring opening speed of web pages. Exactly. Why should emails be different?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people don't want to wait too much for the email to open. All right, here are some examples of how images may be displayed in your inbox.
As we said, that if you are adding too much text on the picture, description, discounts, etc., all the prices,
Actually, really beautiful is the first example, but without images, there are just some plain boxes with red crosses on them. Email open rate is showing those people who have seen the images. So if we say that usual email open rate should be about 20%, then 80% of the people didn't see those images. They saw just the footer with opt out or unsubscribe link. This was the only action that they saw that they could take without triggering the images. But the second example is better. There is an image for emotion with alt text also. It is described on the alt text what is displayed on the image, featured jewelry image, and the description is next to the image. Also, we say that you should always have alt text for images. Firstly, maybe there are some screen readers that don't understand what is on the image. For SEO purposes, maybe this web copy of your newsletter is on your website, for example. Then search engines can index this content also. And when moving on over time, smart home devices are going
can actually read to your email. But,
yes.
And if you have like now the nice image of the unicorns flying over the rainbow.
Buy now. Of course, I say, Alexa, please buy now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at having your way with words. When everything else is supporting the newsletter, using text in a purposeful way can boost conversions. So how can you do this?
Okay, be creative.
Yeah.
If it's possible, don't use the same copy in your online advertising, on your web page, on your social media. Create special copy for an email.
And you can use psychology in this copy because you have really limited real estate in an email. If you can direct the attention of the reader to the right places, with psychology, then well, the actions will follow by themselves.
Yeah, and know your goal, what you want to get. Keep it one point. So don't start talking about I don't know, a car, and then with buy a house.
Yes. For every email we suggest should be one point or action or yeah. Also, if not possible, for every paragraph, use one specific point or idea, and from that on, move to the next paragraph. Everywhere in the email, promote action. If possible, use only one call to action per email. So everything inside the email leads to this call to action. If you can address the subscriber personally, as I already said, we are not machines communicating with other machines. We are persons. If it's possible to personalize, do it wherever possible. If we are reading the email you sent me, then I will give you some attention, which is really valuable for me. I have only limited 24 hours every day. And if I decide to give 5 minutes to you, then if the more you personalize the email, the more I can relate to that. And I think that this is more valuable to me.
We're always talking in the, let's say, some events that try to create something very specific and unique only for the readers of the email.
Yeah.
So this is like, as Erkki said, this reward your readers. So you can see you are in my list.
Yeah, this is like a privileged list. Actually, if on the last slide, we will give you a link to subscribe to our newsletter. If you are a subscriber, we will send you every month a link to our podcast, which will be sent to the newsletter subscribers 1 month before others. And in the podcast, there is one exclusive tip meant for only the newsletter subscribers. So if you have a niche shop, maybe you have some discount codes or some products that can be used only in email campaigns and that are not published anywhere else, then the people that are reading your emails feel more privileged. They are more eager to open those emails because they know that there is something inside that email that is only meant for them and can be found nowhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah. And okay, well, the last suggestion about texts is steal great ideas. If you see some nice examples, then why not use it by yourself too? This is not copyrighted somehow. Look what your competition is doing. Look what other companies, your partners or big players in the international players are doing, and do what they do and see how it goes.
And do it better.
Do it better, yeah. Improve on that. Here is an example of how you can make a really cool email just by using text. Okay, probably their logo is image, but you can use for design, you can use lines, you can use background colors, you can use links.
Like 2 different or actually 3 different colors here.
Fonts,
2 different headings. So mostly this type of things are used by the newspapers and magazines.
Yeah.
That otherwise it will take huge amount of
attention.
Email. If there are all those pictures.
Yeah, we have also some media clients who have tested and see that emails with news titles are being opened more if no images are added, because usually in with like the news items, the images are probably stock images.
Of course.
Or well, I don't know, like not relevant, not all the time. So it takes away attention. People don't click so much with text. They get to the point more quickly, and take action also more. Well, this is one example. Versus if you are sending sales or marketing emails, then you cannot in any way tell how beautiful those pink rain boots are with just text, or you cannot sell the Tesla with just text.
Yeah, probably Tesla you can because this is the brand.
Yeah.
But we had one argumentation here in one Facebook group where was one side who said that everything can be sold by the plain text email.
Yes.
And there was the other part was actually, as Erkki said, that you can't sell actually the pink umbrella with only with the text.
Rui said in chat that Morning Brew newsletter is a great example, mostly text and formatted HTML design, and it's one of the most valuable newsletters in the world. I will check it out after our event, definitely.
All right.
Buttons or call to action. Yes.
And after you have built up your anticipation and excitement,
yeah,
now you have to deliver actually. And what is better way to do when you're using your call to action? You have to do actually. Yeah, okay, you can read your beautiful email, but
there is no point sending out a beautiful email and to wait for what you have to say. Do it now.
Yeah.
So with the call to action, you have to be obvious. You have to tell your email recipient exactly what to do. Review us, download this, register here, buy now.
Extremely now.
Yeah. Call to actions can be in different formats. They can be in, for example, text links, as we saw in previous example. They can be a beautifully formatted button in HTML. They can be on image. While we do not suggest that, but it can be on image. If possible, try to use only one call to action for every email, because otherwise it might distract the user. If there are too many options, okay, 2 options are probably good, but if there are already too many options, then I will not choose anything.
Yeah, actually, we did one testing where it was the email with products. So in every product there was the CTA, and the other email was only with one CTA where it's like, look all the products here.
Yeah.
And if we summarized with a huge number of buttons or smaller clicks than just one button.
Yeah, this one summarized email with one call to action button to see all the products performed better, because there weren't so many choices, and some people probably didn't see anything that they liked, and they didn't click at all. Yeah, one call to action is better. The products can be appetizers. Look for all products. It can be the action. If not possible to use one call to action, the other one might be a little bit different, smaller button with other color or text link. You should also consider where the location of the call to action button is. If few slides back we said a nice subject line is take action now, then probably the call to action button should be on top of the email. If I open the email, I can do it without scrolling. Yes. If I have to build anticipation, for example, I will have to show you the pictures of those pink rain boots. I will have to describe why they are better than blue rain boots, and also give some technical details, and then I'm sold. After that, there is the call to action button.
Exactly.
This is also good. And also the usage of language on the button. Here are some good and different call to actions to use in your newsletter, depending on what content you are sending. For example, learn more, read more. For videos, watch now, hear her story. For events, register now, I'm coming, count me in, etc. The text in the button, on the button, should be action related. Do it, as we said, be obvious, be concrete, and it should be short, if possible.
Here are a couple of tips how it's used. As we said, that one clean, or if you have like if you must have more than one, then you can do the different things. That what is you want to be your primary, then it's gonna be more colorful, like here this download worksheet, and okay, if you want the read planning tips, the other one, and also about those how to use the CTAs in your text. So the great example is that look at my photos of my trip here, here, and here. Okay, I don't know why you have put like 3 here when you can put all your pictures in one, but from the other, you are saying that okay, the photos on the beach or on the boat, on the going fishing, I know what I want to see.
Yeah. So you have to make the button text big, if possible, easily readable. Address as a first person. Read, do, let's, cook, buy. Create a fast need to click, if possible, with psychology, as we said, and use bright colors. So as we talked earlier with emojis and hashtags, it definitely draws in some attention. And well, those on those examples here, I think those buttons are really easily visible. If people want to take action, they can do it without problems. Okay, moving on down the line. At the bottom of your newsletter is the
unsubscribe link.
Yeah. While theory is good, visual examples from real life are better. Here are some examples of a footer. And
So,
footers should contain what, Tanel? Can you
contact
please tell me?
info, link to unsubscribe. It has to be there.
Yes.
So website, if you are e-commerce, customer support, because this is like you can do it from here, not to replay, to no replay.
Yeah, no replay is.
Physical address, if this is our offline and online business also.
This is physical address is just an option. It is, I think it is necessary in the United States probably, but in Europe it's not mandatory. But yeah. If you have an office or a shop or corner shop or whatever, physical address is really fine.
Company logo, okay, you can have also company logo in your header. It's probably most of your social media you will add there, because then you can look at what they are doing in other channels.
All this junk from the header that we saw before, you can put it in the footer with no problems.
And as we see in the Spotify, that links to app download or SuperDry is showing their social trust, that Trustpilot, how many good reviews.
Yeah, word of mouth works really well. In the chat, something happened too. Chris sent a really good emails.com, which is also really nice thing to look at. Good examples for every life case. And okay, other things.
But
I think there are no questions. Rui is taking care of the questions. Thank you. Okay, Chris sent another link. We will share those links with you later on in the summary also.
All right.
Now we have shared many tips and many ways you can create the perfect newsletter. But let's take a final look at the structure and wrap it up. So the takeaway, what we talked about today was sender's name and subject lines are the only things that can make you open an email. They are important. They are probably the first thing that you will have to think about when creating a new email. After that,
you are going to the headline and the content, and you have to remember that they can't be so different things.
Yes, with headline, I think it's a typo here. It should be subject line, and content can't be different. They have to talk about the same thing. Otherwise, it can be disappointing. Short and personal emails work better. We talked about
more money
and make more money. Yeah, we talked about creating specific copy. We talked about psychology. We talked about how to direct attention to the call to action. So the shorter, the better.
Don't over design, but probably all the designers will tell that.
Yeah, maybe next webinar we are doing with the designers, and let's see what they say about this.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be fight like all this webinar that only text. No, fancy images,
rainbows and unicorns flying all around. Just A/B test.
ABC test.
Yes, ABC test. and learn from experiences. Ask from us, read, subscribe to our newsletter, steal great ideas from the market, from your competition. Learning is not stagnation.
Yep.
And that's it. This is our newsletter. Subscribe. We will send you information about the next webinars. Also, we will send you later a short questionnaire about how did you find this current webinar. Me and Tanel, Radek and Rui. And maybe you can give or share some ideas. What would you like to hear on other webinars also that are maybe created in the future? Yeah. Thank you. And we will give this microphone to Radek now.
Yeah.
Catch.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got it. Hey, well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's unbelievably awesome event full of knowledge. You guys nailed it. It comes to the anatomy of the email, and well, when we know what we want to kind of talk about in our emails, it's good to also take care of the email deliverability. So in my presentation, I'll share like a couple of our experiences and a couple of our 2 cents if it comes to deliverability of the emails. And yeah, my name is Radek, and I'm working together with awesome team on Bouncer email verification solution, and we're working from Poland, Wrocław, southwest part of the Poland. And at Bouncer, I know it might sound like pompous or kind of cheesy, but we really believe in dialogue. And I guess you guys also know that great things happen when people communicate, when they share their perspectives, their ideas, or the things that they can offer to each other. And very powerful communication channel is there, and it's email, obviously. Some people like 10 years ago have been predicting that email might be soon dead, but it's far from being dead, and it's one of the most anticipated and favorite communication channels, both for brands and for the consumers and businesses. So it's still hanging on there. Actually, it's thriving, and it's one of the favorite ones if it comes to the direct communication. But email does have some challenges, and this stats show that up to even 20% of the emails globally do not reach their recipients, and that may do something with the fact that even up to 10-15% of the email addresses that we are storing in our databases, in our email lists, are not valid at the moment of entry because of some typos, because of people not trusting us enough to leave their valid email address. There are various reasons, but it definitely shows some challenge to us when we communicate only or mainly via email with our recipients. And on top of that, especially in the B2B space, even up to 15-20% of the email addresses get obsolete in just 1 year. So it means like 5% of the email addresses in a quarter. That's of course depends on the industry, it depends on the localization where we are on the globe. So different markets differ. But it's mostly caused by the fact that people are changing jobs, and unfortunately some companies get out of the business as well. Some do change their names and just email addresses, but it's actually a pretty solid challenge of the email. So, and undeliverable email means, first of all, lost opportunity to connect, to communicate, to share what we've got to offer to each other, but also some additional issues, some additional support costs, some additional need for recovering from some communication disasters, and so on and so on and so on. That's why we built Bouncer, an real-time email verification solution, and essentially for the reason of our customers getting connected and staying connected via email. So that our IDs do reach addressees. And at that point, actually, we're coming to the main subject of my presentation. So deliverability, meaning our ability to deliver a message to a receiver of it. And well, maybe a small confession might be worth to make. I don't consider myself like I'm not a deliverability expert by trade, and actually I don't consider myself as a real email deliverability expert, because to be honest, I never had to challenge with like multiple disasters, never had to recover from big disasters. But while building Bouncer, I've been like super fortunate working with amazing experts and terrific customers, with whom and from whom I've been able to learn a lot. And as far as I'm pretty good learner, I'm also relatively quick forgetter. So when I've been faced with the fact that email deliverability is related to so many factors, like the message itself, like practices that we do around the emails, like infrastructure that we set for our sendouts, I noticed that it's quite complex, and started wondering whether there's any pattern, whether it might be much easier for me to digest, and eventually maybe to share with the others as well. So at some point I came to a conclusion that maybe we could put a respect in the sender, and respect towards humans, but also towards resources that would be expressed in both material and our behavior. So trying to put on this picture things from this previous very busy slide, try to see deliverability as a result of respect, like, for example, in a form of content that we are sending to our recipients, both content and a form. So it's an expression of our respect towards humans, expressed also in behavior. So the way how we manage our recipients, how we segment them, but also towards resources. So how we set up and we treat our infrastructure and others' infrastructure, also expressed in the practices, like how many emails do we send, etc. And then it helped me to actually combine it in two additional aspects: the reputation that is definitely related with our infrastructure, with our email practices, and resonance of our messages that we're sending to other human beings. Of course, those two are interconnected and influence each other as well. So good resonance positively creates better reputation, and good reputation is also helping with a good resonance, etc. And when I put it on that kind of picture, it started to actually things started to actually make sense. So let me drive you through different aspects of the email deliverability, kind of coming back to that kind of picture. And let's start with the reputation first, and the things that are related with our sender reputation. Sender reputation in email deliverability is very similar as any other reputation. Well, first of all, it takes time to build it. So to build a trust of other humans, of machines, that actually we've got something worthy to offer. And of course, it requires us to constantly prove it, that we are worth that kind of trust. And yet it's relatively easy to lose it. Of course, One small or a couple of small mistakes will not hurt us much, but if we continuously are getting into some misleading behaviors, then eventually we will lose our reputation, and of course it will affect our deliverability as well. So let's look at the a very important aspect if it comes to our sender's reputation is the infrastructure. So kind of reflected in the way how we care about our resources and how we respect other resources. When talking about infrastructure, it's definitely important to have it properly set up. So first of all, wisely choose whether our hosting provider, our email service provider, our MarTech solution provider, knowing that actually they do care about deliverability, that they do care about their customers, but also the recipients of the emails of their customers, and it's super important. So one great choice, of course, is to choose Smaily and go with them, because they do really care about that as well. Another thing is to have properly authenticated your infrastructure. So here all the things around SPFs, DKIMs, DMARCs come into play, making sure it's a way of kind of respecting and taking care of your own infrastructure and your own kind of name in the email space, meaning that that you protect yourself from others to impersonate you, to try to treat others to think that they are you, maybe for the phishing attacks or just any other malicious activities. So because of that, it's super important to have it authenticated. And if you have it authenticated, actually, then the other email service providers will like you better, because they then can know for sure that it's you who's sending the emails and not someone who's impersonating you. But it's completely different subject, the authentication, the SPFs, DKIMs, and DMARCs. So maybe could be covered in another webinar of Smaily or ours. Another thing to take into consideration while choosing infrastructure is also where it's open for the feedback, meaning whether we will be able to observe how do we perform, how does our infrastructure perform, whether we are started to getting some bounce messages, whether we are starting to be kind of listed on some or whether we are getting any kind of feedback about some of our misbehaviors or misconfigurations. So it's another thing important to take care while we choose or set up our infrastructure. And then there comes the practices that are related to the resources and the ways how we use it. And again, it's super important not to, first of all, exploit too much our resources and do not abuse others. So again, kind of showing respect to ourselves and the others at the same time. And one important aspect is control of the volumes of the sendouts. First of all, consistency and predictability helps for sure, especially if it comes to the volumes that we're sending out. If we would be just once in the year sending out a blast communication, let's say close to the Black Friday or holiday season, and for the rest of the year would be silent, then of course we could take by surprise both our infrastructure. So our service providers might not be expecting us sending a lot of emails at very short time, but also the whole network, internet network, and the recipients. So it might take them, well, of course, with the cloud solutions and a lot of scalability, those things, usually are able to react pretty quickly and process the messages. but that kind of surprises are never like greeted. And so it's good to consistently build the volumes and build the predictability and stay in touch with our audience. Also for the reason of kind of consistent volumes that we are sending out. Another thing is also respecting the limits. So if our service provider is telling us, okay, well, there's a limit of the amount of the emails you're supposed to send, I don't know, over a minute, over a day, then it's good to respect it, or at least negotiate that kind of limit with them, so that we are capable of sending out the messages. And again, those limits are also there to protect us, so that, for example, someone does not, so that we are not blasting too many emails by mistake, for example. But also it's about protecting the whole infrastructure of our service providers. Now, another aspect is about monitoring and making the improvements. So, of course, respecting the feedback, observing the feedback loops, while being subscribed to feedback loops, or choosing a solution that will show us how many emails did bounce, how many spam reports there were, or whether we start to be listed in some gray lists or unfortunately blacklists. Those things may happen from time to time, but of course there are human beings behind those lists. So we'll be able, after honoring some improvement suggestions, we'll definitely be able to get out of those lists. And another thing is also to prevent the bounces, but also react to bounces if we couldn't prevent them. And let's maybe for a second dive into bounces into more details, especially as there was even a question on the chat before my presentation about the bounce rates, etc. So let's dive into subject of bounces for a second, and what do they tell us? Well, first of all, bounce back messages, bounces are a natural thing, and actually they are good for the whole email email domain, or in internet in general, because and they are really cooked into the protocols around the email. And the bounce messages build confidence and help build a confidence in the reliability of an email as a channel. So when we don't get the bounces, we may assume that the message was delivered. If we can have that confidence, because whenever our message is not delivered, we shall get the bounce back message. So as said, they are actually a pretty good thing. It's just a matter of what we will do with them. And because they are good, they're a natural thing. Emails do get obsolete. There are typos. Email service providers do acknowledge the fact that there will be bounce backs, but we'll usually recommend to us keeping on the levels of 3-5%, being relatively safe amount of the bounce backs. Above 5 till 10, well, probably some warnings. We should be considering that as a warning sign to maybe incorporate some practices. Some better practices and some improvements in the way how we handle our deliverability in general. Above that, there's a risky zone that may lead into the situation when actually we will start getting listed on the blacklists, and by that we might our whole deliverability might drop tremendously, because even proper emails to the proper email addresses will not be delivered. But let's not worry. When we do have good practices about the bounces, then we should be good, and so we shouldn't be too much afraid, or at least we should not panic about the fact that we get bounces here and there. And as I said, they are natural, and they will tell us a few things, like hard bounces, things that like called hard bounces will tell us that the email address doesn't exist. And there are various types of the email address doesn't exist messages, but usually from the message explanation, we'll see that maybe the user is not registered anymore there, or it's invalid email address on the server, or account suspended. So we will get the notification when the email address is not valid anymore, or was never valid and was never registered on the server, SMTP server. But we might also get, and of course, with that kind of situation, then definitely we should take that kind of things into consideration. We most likely would like to remove the email address from our list, and if possible, maybe recover the way, or change it to the proper email address, so that we keep communication with our audience. And then there will be some soft bounces as well, like mailbox full. Well, nowadays, let's be honest, our mailboxes are pretty solid. We've got plenty of storage, so usually mailbox full might mean that whether the mailbox is relatively old and is already full, and maybe it was abandoned. Situations like, or maybe in super old setups, we will get that kind of situation when someone goes on longer vacation, and indeed they use all the storage, but nowadays it's relatively rare situation. So it might be an indication that we won't be able to get in touch with that person on that email address. But also we may get the bounce backs, soft bounce backs, like message is too large, and normally, probably with the messages, with the attachments, messages of a size of larger than 25 megabytes might cause some challenges. So we obviously might get that kind of soft bounce as well. But we might also get the soft bounce, or on a more general, it might be temporary, but if it continues, it might mean that the company is not there, or the domain is not registered anymore. Bounces like DNS failure. So as you can see, there will be some hard bounces, meaning that the email address definitely does not exist, or some soft bounces that maybe it might be good to correct the message itself, or try again later at some point of time. Now, and everything is relatively good if we do as I said. So dealing with the hard bounces, maybe observing soft bounces and dealing with them as well. But if our bounce rates will start to increase, then or are on a high levels, then it might mean a couple of things. And then definitely we should be looking into incorporating some improvements in our deliverability. So that the high bounce rates might happen in the situation when we haven't been sending messages for a while. Let's say, yeah, we had some restructure or changes of way of working in our marketing area of operations, and we haven't been communicating with our customers for a while. And after a year of silence, we send out messages. So it might be on a high level then, especially if we're in a B2B space and working with the customers where there's a lot of customer employee rotation, then for sure we might expect higher bounce rates. Of course, it would be good to prevent that kind of situation by first maybe making some cleanings of our email list, but it may happen. The higher bounce rates might also happen when we stopped practicing about managing bounces. So for some reason, we've been changing our operations and we stopped removing the hard bounced email addresses or correcting hard bounced email addresses in our email list. That again might cause the increase in the in the bounces. It might happen also when we are bringing some new contacts to our list. Let's say we have created a separate sub products like lead magnet product, or we started a new newsletter and started subscribing people to a new newsletter, but we didn't do the email verification. And when we've been collecting the email addresses, then it might again cause a little bit higher bounce rates just after that, because of the quality of collected data. Well, and all of those, well, it's good to prevent those situations, but if we know that our bounce rates increased because of one of those reasons, then that definitely we can very quickly do some corrections, or by just introducing the reaction to the bounces, then we definitely can improve on that. But the worst situation, and I'm like really sure that none of us will get into that kind of situation, because we are all eager for knowledge, and we're for example attending that kind of webinars, but increased bounce rates, especially increasing over and over time, may also mean that our reputation has been decreased. And in that kind of situation, well, how to kind of spot it, that kind of situation? That kind of situation will most likely be resulted in the abnormal bounce messages. So when we will see mail block spam detected, it might mean that maybe there's something wrong with the message itself, but also it may mean that our so it's a relatively easy thing to correct. Maybe test again the message itself, see whether it's we can improve it so it's not being detected by spam filters. But also mail block spam detected may mean that our reputation is low, and in general we are started to being listed as the spammer because of some of our misbehaviors. And something that we definitely should be afraid of, then the mail block non-spammer situation, that definitely means that there's something wrong with our reputation, and we for sure should stop our sendouts and really look at the situation and start recovering from this disaster. But as I said, I'm pretty sure none of us will end up in that kind of situation. So as you can see, the proper management of our infrastructure and proper management about our practices with care and respect will result in a good reputation. And this definitely will help to connect with the people and get our messages sent. But another thing is, and how they will resonate. And this part also influences back our reputation and our deliverability itself. So let's dig into the part of the our respect towards human beings in a way of represented by the resonance and in the form of the messages itself, and on our behaviors around recipients management. So I truly believe that, and this is something that Tanel and Erkki emphasized a couple of things, that there will be resonance and actually a positive influence on our deliverability and our reputation when our messages will be aligned with the needs of our recipients, and when we will be delivering on promise. And by delivering on promise, I mean, well, first of all, and there are no hidden intentions. So first of all, subject line does match what we actually want to say in the email itself. But also that we are sending, actually, so delivering on promise means also that we are kind of aligned with the contract that we got into with our recipients when they signed up or when we, started our relationship. So when we said sign on our, let's say, lead magnet page, sign up for weekly newsletter, then definitely without additional consent, we shouldn't be sending it on a daily basis. And if we sign, unless we ask our recipients, would you like to start getting it on a daily basis instead, or give them another option to maybe opt out from it. But it's also, when we sign up, we kind of are building a newsletter about, let's say, deliverability. We shouldn't just out of the blue start sending some other messages around, I don't know, like our side project unexpectedly. So it's a way of kind of a respect towards what we did, got into, what kind of contract did we create with our audience when they've been signing up. And well, Erkki and Tanel said a lot about the content and the form and the anatomy of the email, so maybe I'll not be talking too much about that part. But things maybe to maybe emphasize again is, well, first of all, we're all humans, and this is regardless whether we're in B2B or we're in B2C, we're actually human to human. It's a human to human communication, so we should be taking that into consideration. Of course, tone of the voice depends on what kind of relationships we do have with our audience, but there's always a human being behind the mailbox, so things to consider for sure. And because everyone right now is pretty busy, and those are pretty busy times, we should be trying to maximize the value that people will get from our messages. And it doesn't mean that the message has to be like super short and in few sentences, if we've got a lot of things to tell, but we should have that aspect in mind, that we do want to deliver value to our recipients, and then we will resonate with them much better. And we should be respecting each other's time, energy, and focus. So some messages, sending messages just to get into the mailbox might not be the best idea. It would be good to be thoughtful of people's time and energy and focus, and offer them some kind of value. It might be, a simple joke from time to time as well, just to, boost their mood. But usually it's about something that they want to and expect to get from us. And again, something that Smaily does, emphasizes a lot and helps a lot is about the highest quality. And this means highest quality for humans, so that the message is readable, it's easy to digest, it's easy to follow, it's easy to read on the whatever device people are using. Some people, and this is something that also Erkki mentioned, to have in the images to have alternative text also aligned, because also people with with the problems with their eyes, there might be listening, so there might be speak over text, mailing solutions that will read the content to those humans. So it's good to take that into consideration. So the highest quality for the humans, but also for machines, because those machines are there to protect the humans and their focus as well, and their time and energy. So of course, no spammy words, definitely a good blend of the content, etc. So the content should be clean, clear. There should be a good balance of the content and the media. Essentially, some anti-spam filters are set up and configured in a way that when they're getting an email with just one image in there and no text, they might categorize it as spam, because there's a lot of spamming practices like that. And believe me or not, but that kind of war between the spammers and the anti-spam filter creators has been extensive, and each sites have been trying to develop new options, and sometimes real good senders like us may get a hit out of that as well. So being on the safe side, having a good balance, clean and clear message, links that will work, so URLs that are actually pointing somewhere, it's also a good indication. And of course, unsubscribe options are must-haves if it comes to the content and the form. And then we can go into the part of the managing our recipients. And I truly believe in the concepts of like wide segmentations, but also holistic approach to our recipients on all phases of our relationship lifetime. And of course, a continuous hygiene is something that helps as well. So let me dive into a bit deeper into the holistic contact list management, as this is very close to what we do at Bouncer. And I'll try to walk you through some of our concepts, also using some of the examples of how we do things at Bouncer with our customers as well. And at the end, maybe I'll show you a couple of tricks how you can utilize the let's say email verification solution of your choice to help you actually holistically manage your lists. So while saying holistic, I usually like to look at it from the perspective of a customer and actually their journey with us. And each customer journey essentially starts with a need of a customer, and then on that builds on the awareness of the problem, the potential solutions about ourselves, and then also first interactions happen that may lead in building a trust that will enough trust that will result in a purchase, and after which there will be an engagement, and hopefully also building that kind of relationship that our customers will also start being our advocates and will be spreading the news to the others with the similar needs as themselves. So with that kind of customer journey in mind, I'll try to show you of how we can actually manage our lists, contact lists, in a holistic way. So first things start with the awareness, as I said. So when a customer has a need, they might know what's the problem. They might build more and more awareness, and they're looking at different solutions. They end up looking at us as well, and they're observing us. But they're not the only ones that actually can observe each other. So it's like in the normal relationship in the physical world. Let's say we're having a store, and there's a customer just walking outside of the store and looking at our storefront, and then walks in as well and starts looking at some stuff. Still, they didn't say anything to us. They didn't introduce themselves. We didn't introduce themselves, but we're kind of checking out each other. So also in digital, there are ways to, of course, our customers are checking out on us, but also we are able to be observing of what are the behaviors of our visitors, of our websites, or whatsoever. So still not knowing each other, when we already start learning about our behaviors, about our interests, etc. And it's good to actually be storing that kind of data and that kind of information, because it may help later on while we start establishing our relationship And also it will help, of course, optimizing our websites and etc., and building the better user experience as well if it comes to our storefront, our website. But that kind of checking out for sure is something to consider, to start gathering some data, of course, in with the respect of humans. Right to the privacy. So of course we need to use the tools that are supporting also privacy of our visitors, but it's good to start gathering some information there, still not being introduced to each other. And then there's first interactions happening that may result, if there's enough trust in actually exchange of the contact information. So so let's say someone did like what Bouncer has to offer, and they decided that they want to see the solution itself and register to create an account. Well, first of all, it's good to find a good balance. From one perspective, build as frictionless process as possible. So I'm not a fan of rewrite your email address twice, so kind of solutions, because it introduces some additional friction, and it's a waste of someone's time and energy. But at the same time, we do want to make sure that the peoples are leaving the email address that will be deliverable. So email verification might be helpful there. But what is important is also we might want to have some rules if that helps. So, or at least acknowledge different types of the emails that will be left. So we might be still allowing people to, of course, not only use their business email addresses, but also free email addresses. But in some specific cases, we might also allow them to use disposable temporary email addresses as well, if we really want them to see what we've got to offer. But they might be getting a little bit different experience for the sake of us being protected from maybe some abusers. But regardless of what are our specifics, it's good to let our customers or potential customers leave their contact information in as easy and a straightforward way possible, and let them enjoy our awesomeness of our products as early as possible, and let's give them the value as soon as possible, so that we don't lose their attention, and we let them actually start testing out some of our solutions. And at the moment, and of course, we might. It's good to know each other and start learning each other. And of course, we might ask all those questions to our customers. We might, and in some specific situations, when the relationship later on will be very intensive, very valuable for both sides. Both sides do want to invest their time into leaving more and more information. In some businesses, it's a properly valid situation to actually jump into a demo call before, or just a sales call before even creation of an account will happen, or any kind of exchange of the goods will happen, so that we can learn a lot about each other's needs, and be able to serve the best. But in other situations, maybe our customers will not want to invest too much time of theirs. Into very early stages of our relationship. So it might be wise to ask maybe a couple of questions, tell me more about yourself, about your industry, etc., or your interests. But maybe if we can spare that to our customers as well, and take that kind of information from some sources, it might be worth to consider. And for example, at Bouncer, we are actually analyzing the contact information of our customers to automatically try to get the insight into what kind of business they are, or what kind of size of a business they are, and what what's potential in so far engagement of them, so that we can later on focus on those that are mostly interested and with whom we see the chance to resonate the best. And in order to do that, we do a segmentation, and the segmentation is a completely broad, well, it's a very broad subject, and there's so many strategies you could take about the segmentation. The simplest, like for example ours, just checking what kind of customers we are dealing with. Advancer, we, for example, check whether this is a SaaS company, a MarTech SaaS company, whether this is a marketing agency or an awesome marketing team, because for each of those types of the customers, our relationship will be slightly different. We're going to be offering slightly different value. So later on, when we communicate with them, definitely there will be slightly different stuff. But if, let's say, we're in the e-commerce side, we might also be segmenting our customers based on their interest, or so far some of the interests, whether this is someone who's looking for well, yeah, I think you get the point, depending on what kind of products they've been looking at, what kind of metrics do we have about their engagement with us in digital, may help us to segment them properly, and later on serve the best based on what we know about them. And yeah, serving the best as we can is super important. So for example, with our example, of course, we want to onboard our customers with our solution as soon as possible, and show them around. And of course, different features will be happening to the digital agencies, will be more important to the digital agencies than to the marketing team or the SaaS or the developers. So that's why this segmentation early on, gathering some information, helps as well to create the best possible experience in the early stages of our relationships. So if everything happens pretty well, there will be an exchange of goods. Hopefully, we will benefit from this interaction, and for sure, our customers, and hopefully our customers will benefit also from what we've got to offer. And well, it's going to be essentially a first purchase is pretty unique, pretty interesting, and it's good to also learn from the act of the purchase itself. Maybe it stores some information about that. So what led a customer to make a purchase, what it seems to convinced the customer about, yeah, we're worth of their trust and their money. So it's good to take that into consideration, because in the future it might help us to offer some additional services or the same services again, or the same products. But it's also important to recover abandoned carts, so and make it easy, of course, not too intrusive, but for sure easy and convenient for our customers to come back to our cart and continue and finish the checkout of what we had to offer. But if they don't, it's also good to understand the reasons and understand where they are in the journey, whether they're still thinking or need to they still have some questions, or the timing is just not right because they're waiting, let's say, for someone, some other authority in their company to make the calls, or maybe there's something wrong with our offer, our pricing, or the ways we are serving our customers. So understanding those reasons and learning from those interactions during the purchase or the purchase attempt also helps us to improve, and by that deliver better. And then we are engaging with our customers, and this may take longer time, and we definitely should be learning while we are serving. So for sure, we'll be from time to time, well, they're enjoying with our product or our service, and in meantime, we are communicating with them. And it would be good to be learning from some observations of the behaviors while we are serving our customers, and both on the higher level, so looking at the whole population of the recipients of our messages to see how our messages are performing, A/B testing and seeing which content performs better, but also in general looking at our success in showing our value to the customers. And so observing, of course, open rates, observing action click rates for sure, but also looking at the amount of the people who unsubscribed or marked as spam, or we landed in the spam, or acting properly to the bounces for sure. So looking at how we are serving, how we perform on the higher levels, but also on the lower levels, and maybe again reshaping the segments or tagging some of our customers that do enjoy better some of our messages, some of our offers than the others. And as Rui in the chat said, yeah, there might be those customers that are like reading every single email and engaging with every single message that they're receiving from us on a daily basis, and do enjoy it, and we do want to serve them. But there will be some that rather prefer a weekly newsletter, and then they do engage with us and with our content. So looking at at that kind of statistics on the higher and on the lower levels is definitely helpful to improve and be able to serve our customers much better. Then we definitely need to respect the changes in the preferences. So let our customers, as Erkki said, in every footer of our message, let our customers give them the easy possibility to manage their preferences. So unsubscribe from the particular list, particular type of the communication, or unsubscribe from all the communication, or give them ability to change their preferences, and by that give us indication of what they're interested in and what's so not. But it's also pretty important then to give them also the ability, or at least tell them how they can resubscribe if they wish again. So testing the resubscription flow might be beneficial as well, and just to see if someone did unsubscribe and later on subscribes to us again, if it will work and we will be able to deliver our value to them again. Now, when we are engaged, when we are learning, when we are improving, there may happen, well, first of all, retention of the customers, and hopefully advocacy. So first of all, it would be great to embrace the feedback, and a way to embrace, well, to do it is to actually check, to ask. And it's good to ask at the moment when there was a significant interaction. So when we did deliver something, when there was a milestone in our interactions, and the recipient, our customer, still remembers what about this experience. So then try to just simply ask them, how did we do? And you could do it in a more sophisticated surveys, but also in the very simple Net Promoter Score surveys, to get the information of how we are performing, so that we can take that into consideration and learn. And then if we do have that kind of answers, of course, if we did fail, if we in some ways, then for sure let's do our best to make things right, to just repair what we failed on, both for this particular customer, but also in general in our operations. But if they're super happy, then let's ask them also for their support, for sharing, spreading the news about our awesomeness, or sharing a review on the review sites, etc., etc. Because it seems like when they are super happy and they're willing to promote us, they might be actually willing to promote us. And from the other hand, while looking at the retention of our recipients, it's also about managing the losses. So first of all, respecting unsubscribes, but looking into what might be the reasons why people unsubscribe, at least from time to time, maybe not every single unsubscribe. If we are able to ask them also not intrusive way, then that's great. But sometimes maybe it's not possible, or maybe it's not would not be well received. So it's but it's good to reflect on that, and definitely reflect on the spam bounces. So looking into analyzing why might we get into the spam, or why might someone report us as spam? Maybe, and that sometimes happens, maybe there was a malicious agent who impersonated and tried to impersonate the other human being by just leaving their email address with us, and out of the blue later on, this the real owner of the email address is surprised that they're getting, and then is marking us as spam, if we, for example, didn't have enough safety measures to make sure that the malicious agents will not get into our mailing list. But also maybe we failed some of our customers, and we are not responding to unsubscribe queries, or we kind of missed on our promise. We promised something, and they started to be more decisive, or frustrated with our messages. So it's good to reflect on the spam bounces for sure. With the soft bounces and hard bounces, definitely, as mentioned before, it's good to observe soft bounces, and if they happen again and again, then maybe deal with them. And with hard bounces, definitely try to do some activities after that. And what kind of activities we might do? Well, first of all, we need to have in mind the reputation of our protection of our reputation. So it's good to actually react to the hard bounces, or if we don't have that kind of very often communication or some practices in place, to do the list verification, seeing what emails might hard bounce before actually sending those messages. So try to analyze our list and to see and make the proper decisions. And especially when there's a high value in the relationship, meaning we've got something valuable to offer, and our customers will exchange a significant amount of money to pay for our value, it might be wise also to be recovering the connections. Of course, when there's a return of investment for both sides of that kind of activity. So sometimes, if we do have hard bounces, or we identified even before sending emails that on our list there are emails addresses that are undeliverable, when we will spot that moment, maybe there's a still right time to pick up a phone and call the customer and ask them, hey, how can we connect with you, because it seems like your email address is not valid anymore. Are you still with the company? If not, maybe you could give us some connections with the new people in your team with whom you might be still being connected. So recovering connections might be helpful, and both observing the hard bounces and reacting to them, or even proactive verification of the deliverability of the email addresses might be helpful and handy here. And if we do look at the list our email list management in a holistic way from different stages of our customers' journey, I truly believe that the happiness of a customer will be a result of that. And out of that, there will be a resonance of our messages, and it all will end up with the high deliverability, because there will be, well, we will be showing the respect. So I really hope that I kind of made my, well, proved my statement that email deliverability is a result of respect towards each other, and that that also that kind of picture helps us all memorize and understand better email deliverability. So let's respect each other. Let's respect our time, energy, and attention, and our resources. And I truly believe that the high deliverability will be a result of that. Thank you so much. So I guess I'm gonna pass the microphone to Rui, right?
Hello. So I guess we have still some questions that eventually it's best for you to handle that, because it's on the deliverability. So if you can see the questions and eventually to provide some answers, eventually it's better now than after all of my the presentation, I guess.
Oh, cool. Rui, do you got some specific ones that you?
Yeah, there's one from the Fernando Vasconcelos, which is about the concrete the question. It's the confirmation email of many the video conference, the platforms like for instance, the one you are using are getting the sent to spam. Your confirmation email did get to my spam. This is a problem because, for instance, Office the 365 seems to be very too sensitive. I know that this is not the strictly the deliverability, but the result is almost the same. How can we deal with this?
Yeah, I think that there are some tricky aspects, deliverability situations, including transactional emails, and of course we hate, as Fernando you said, yeah, and indeed, getting into the spam folder is reducing the deliverability. People will not see it, or at least for in a very important moment will not see it. So definitely. A deeper understanding and deeper analysis would be required. What might be interesting is to see what's the setup, and basically probably a deeper analysis would be needed here to see the setup, whether that kind of confirmation email is being sent from our platform, whether there's the same domain that is sending email, and that is in the from address. There's also aspects of the content of the message itself. So sometimes, when we don't have, like, when we're using some solution to let's say schedule that kind of conferences or whatsoever, it might be good to also reach out to them and to see whether they see that kind of problem, or maybe test the message itself. And for example, there's a mailtester.com solution where you can actually send, well, you've got an email address auto-generated, and you can send a message too. So maybe you could use that kind of email address to subscribe, let's say sign up for the conference, and see the messages that will be coming to this virtual inbox of mail tester, and see what kind of indications they will show you. But if that doesn't help, then probably a good conversations with an experienced email deliverability expert might be in place. We do know a couple of them, and in the email community there are a few really awesome ones we could recommend for sure, both me and Rui and gentlemen.
Cool. There's another one. It's about the I don't know to spell her name, but she's asking, should I remove also the soft bounced emails? I mean the contacts?
It's, well, it depends. So, yeah, again, it depends. I know. I hate that kind of answers, but yet I'm answering them myself. Well, like a rule of thumb is, if they reoccur, then definitely look into them, and if needed, remove them as well. Some soft bounces are actually caused by a full mailbox, so they may be indeed results of the fact that someone abandoned their mailbox. They're not using it anymore. Or some full mailbox is also a kind of a tool used by some administrators of the servers, email servers, especially in corporate world, to suspend the accounts. So when someone leaves the company, the administrator might, instead of deleting the account, they might just reduce the size to 1 kilobyte, so that the messages do bounce back, but the account is there, and just in case an employee would come back to work with them, so that they don't need to create another account. So there's a pretty well, sometimes a practice that happens. So essentially, a soft bounce full mailbox means that a person is not there anymore at this time. So it might be in that kind of situation, it might be good to, or at least try to recover it or delete it from a list. But if there are soft bounces, like a temporary problems, temporary DNS problems, temporary mailbox problems, believe me or not, but in let's say growing economies, in the less mature markets, the stability of the hosting providers can be questionable. So the messages will bounce from time to time. So I wouldn't be reacting very aggressively if it comes to soft bounces.
It's
but
more
definitely
about
looking.
It's more about the history, right? About all of the sendings that you are doing, and eventually, if you monitor just one account, you are going to see an how can I say a trend that is not opening or getting soft bounces every time, and that gives you the warning.
Exactly.
In that case, to erase the account. Okay.
I would definitely act to and react to hard bounces as soon as possible. But if it comes to soft bounces or lack of engagement, I would periodically analyze that kind of situations. You don't need to react very like super quickly to those.
Okay,
I'd say.
Cool. The one last question from Vlad: how to set up a domain which is Gmail alias of the main domain, to use it for the bulk emails. After adding all the DNS entries for aliases required by ESP emails, they began to be marked as phishing. Yeah, this is more about the authentication of the sender domain and so on. So this is something a little bit more the technical, I think, because it's something more about the authentication of the sender instead of actually some technique that it's going to be implemented. This is something that eventually even the I guess the features and the help files of Gmail also provide some insights on that end. I also have a Gmail. It's not a Gmail, it's a Google ESP email for my companies, and we use it every time using the proper DNS, the configuration that it's all on the help files. So it's, I guess it's a matter of finding all of these help files that it's going to help on implementing on the email platform. But I'm answering for you. I'm sorry.
No, very good.
You're the expert here.
Well, yeah. Well, probably I'd be able to connect with real experts if it comes to authentication. In our net, we've got Yana Tori, who's great in authenticating people. For sure, she's like Oprah of email deliverability.
Exactly.
So, I would highly recommend reaching out to her. But what comes to my mind just right off the bat is that when you create an alias, it might be that on the main domain you've got like proper SPF, DKIM, and maybe DMARC set up, or maybe you've got SPF and DKIM set up, but you don't have the DMARC. So you
Exactly.
in that kind of situation, it might happen that when you did not like fully authenticate also the subdomain, meaning alias domain, and you didn't set up the SPF and the DKIM for the alias domain, and you don't have DMARC, so you don't see the reports when your messages are being like stopped because there's no DMARC on the second domain. That might be the situation. So I'll be definitely looking into trying to match the setup if it comes to authentication of the second domain, so it matches the first one, and maybe setting up also DMARC so that whenever there's a misuse of your domains or your DKIM. That's something that comes to my mind just right off the bat. But again, probably would recommend the email deliverability expert.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I guess it was the last question for now. I guess the participants can still make the questions until the end of the event. And before I'm going to start, I just want to thank the Christopher about the comment he made on the chatbot about me. I don't deserve it that much, the Christopher, but okay, thank you. And I also want to thank you for the opportunity to be here on this amazing the webinar. My slot will be all dedicated to strategy. And it's kind of funny, it's not a complaint, but usually the strategy becomes in first of everything. And before all of the other tactics and everything that we are going to implement, but in this case it's on the last slot, but I'm not complaining. I'm just going to share then my presentation here and to give you an idea about what I'm going to say today. And I need also to come clean. This was a complete the cheat on my end, and that's because I've done all of this presentation using one source of content, which is the book from Marketing Strategy. It's by Jenna Tiffany, and almost the entire presentation that I'm going to do here, it's all based on the insights that I get from the book. So if you are not going to listen to the entire presentation, at least buy the book, and then you are going to have all of this content. What I've done is to condense everything about this information on a single presentation that I'm going to be as entertainer as possible. And in this case, strategy, for me, it's one of the key factors that we really need in order to have a great email marketing, okay? But in this case, let me just give you here a reminder. For the ones that are going to ask the best questions here, we are going to give a lot of books of these books, The Marketing Strategy by Jenna Tiffany. So if you want to win one of these books, we have a few of them. So if you want to win, just ask the best questions here on the chat box, and we are going to deliver them by mail, okay? The snail mail, it's not by email, okay? It's not possible. So, okay, so it covers everything that we ever need in terms of the marketing strategy, and email marketing, obviously, it should be almost like it shouldn't live like in a silo. It needs to be a real part of the entire brand marketing strategy. And also, this is very important, for instance, to understand that everything that we are going to do on email marketing, it needs to have some balance between everything that we are also doing on the marketing strategy as a whole. So let me just pass to the quick introduction about me. What I'm doing, I'm the founder of Zopli, which is a digital marketing agency dedicated to helping brands to become more relevant in this case. The sendXmail, it's obviously the name that says it all. It's an email marketing and automation, the full service agency. And we are working in the shadows of some of the big brands out there. And I'm also proud to be a board member of the Portuguese Marketing Association for almost 8 years. So it's been a while. Besides these main products, I'm also keen on the teaching in several the postgrads the courses for universities across the country on email marketing, marketing automation, digital law, and to name a few. And I'm not going to waste much more time on this. I'm going to speak about what is the strategy. And this is still something that a lot of us, and I'm also one of the people that also have some questions about the strategy, what is really strategy and what is a tactic. And this is something that we need to have a clear picture. And to the quote the Sun Tzu on the art of war, strategy without the tactics is the slowest route to victory. The tactics without the strategy is the noise before the defeat. And this is very, very accurate to what we are going to do. Because the strategy needs the tactics, and in this case, it's for example, to applicate or to start a campaign on a channel like email marketing. But however, we are, as brands, we are very focused on the tactics, and most of the times we don't have any strategy. And this means that we are also going to be defeated because we are placing all of the work and we are not getting the results that we want. And it's very important to understand what the strategy is. And in this case, the strategy, according, for instance, with Jenna's book, it's the who, the what, the where, the why, and the when. And if we think about this, then what's left for the tactics? And the answer is the how. So we are basically going to all of the strategy. It's to who we are going to speak about, what we are going to say, where we are going to say, why we are going to express our campaigns, our communication, our messaging, and when we are going to do. But then we need a tactic, which is how we are going to apply all of this. But giving the spoiler alert about everything that I'm going to speak today, this is the strategy framework using Jenna Tiffany's book, and I'm going to apply this to email marketing, okay? We are going to speak about the scenario, where we are currently at, the targets, which we are going to establish the objectives, the defining goals, etc. Then we are going to speak about who's our ideal audience. Also the awareness, which is to plan all of our marketing campaigns, the tactics, obviously, selecting the right channels. Even for email marketing, email marketing doesn't live outside of the other channels as well. It's it integrates the other channels as well as something that needs the other channels to also grow. And the execution also of the implementing of the marketing strategy to generate results and then to analyze everything that we are going to do. So this is like a roadmap of everything that I'm going to speak today. So bear with me. I'm going to say it as quickly as I can because I know that you are very tired by the entire morning getting awesome content by the other speakers. But in this case, I'm going to use a real example, okay? We are going to use the example of a flower shop. Otherwise, I'm going to speak in general terms, and then you are going to feel that it's not going to be applied to something in specific. So I like to use specific examples like a flower shop, and then to give an example for the entire presentation. So it's like we are doing an email marketing strategy to a flower shop. Okay, so then we start with the first the point of the presentation, which is to have an idea about where we currently are. In this case, what is the current status that we have right now, which is the scenario about everything that we have. Like, do we have an email list yet? How many people have opted in already? How's our engagement rate? What's our budget for acquisition or email resources? In this case, we need to have a complete idea about how we are right now and how we are going to evolve for the next step. But this is crucial. However, without this, we can't also define the objectives for the growth that we are expecting. So having said that, this is a little help of what you need to address, in this case for the email marketing, okay? To define every impact on email marketing, we need to understand that we don't live just on a silo of doing an email newsletter and sending to the list and that's it. We need to understand what is our the target audience or ideal audience in this case. We need to define what is the human resources that we need for the entire team to do the email marketing, because sometimes we need a designer, we need a coder, we need someone to understand how to are going to implement all of this on a platform. We also need to know if our brand is strong enough to impact the opens of our emails or not. Sometimes we are sending these emails, but the audience, on the other hand, doesn't still have an idea about what our brand is, and they still don't have that kind of reputation of a brand to understand if it's something that they are really interested about or not. Also, the content planning around the year. Do you have something that it's coherent with the rest of the marketing strategy that you have? For instance, you can't, for instance, have a discussion on social media and then by email you are addressing a completely different mindset. So it needs to be coherent with the entire marketing strategy. Also, the additional tools that you need, like the CRMs. Do you have a CRM or is integrated with your email platform or not? The marketing budget that you have, do you have a marketing budget for email marketing or not? Usually they don't have, they just have some marketing budget for the entire marketing strategy for the year, and then they give it just a small amount for the email marketing. And it's very funny because usually it's what gets most of the revenue, but we are not going to speak about that at the moment. And all of the growth implications that it's need to be understand, because if you are going to raise your email list quickly, maybe your email provider or email marketing platform, you need to address that on the budget. Imagine that eventually you are on a tier of the 200 euros or something like that, and if you grow too much, or it's never a bad thing that you are going to grow, but unexpectedly you are going to a tier of the 2000 euros or something like that. And we've seen this, for instance, on MailChimp, when they changed the rules of how they are going to charge for the users in their platform. Everyone started to panic because it's also an implication that you need to address. Then the capacity of analysis within the team or using outsource help to understand what the numbers mean, and then to follow up on that. And also the partnerships and media, it's something that I find very interesting, because it's how you are going to grow on a sustainable, very, how can I say, the stable manner. Okay, because it's by this kind of partnerships and using media as a partner to get a constant flow of new subscribers and so on for your list as well. Okay, so this is some of the points. It's not all of the points that you need to address. It's something that you need to adapt to your business itself. One of the best tools also to understand all of this, it's making a SWOT analysis. It's one of the best known frameworks for you to address. Obviously, to understand what is the strengths of your brand and your email marketing in specific, what is the weaknesses that you have. For instance, eventually you don't have on your team email marketing expertise to understand how you are going to address that on the next level. Opportunity as well, it's, for instance, since everyone have learned to use the shopping and e-commerce online, it's now a best opportunity to take the best advantage for that. It's just one of the ideas, and also the threats. It's, for instance, the competition from other channels as well, or for instance, if they are losing interest on email marketing, and all of us here know that email marketing is still the thriving, even more than the before, I think, because everything states that, and it's very much alive and providing a lot of revenue. But you have other kind of threats, like, for instance, if with the upcoming of all of these privacy situations about Apple and so on, there are some threats on the case of how you are going to measure and so on, but that's not in my perspective something bad. Actually, it's good for every user to have more privacy and to be able to respect respect the users as well. So it's something that you need to address and to understand. Then there's a lot of other frameworks that I'm not going to speak about, because you can then search about that or use the book. Okay, use the book to see all of the other frameworks that are here, but it can help you very much. And one I need to highlight, it's the Compete one, which is a framework to analyze our competitors, okay, into the full extent, and that it's going to help you as well to understand what you are going to do to compete with other brands that are competing with you in the market. It's time now to set up our objectives, the targets, because basically, without knowing where we are going to end up, Okay, it's like the surfing the wave. We are just doing the job, but that we are not getting to the destination that we want to go. So using again the flower shop example, it's for instance, how many new subscribers do you expect per month? And by asking this, please place a number, a very concrete number in order to establish the objectives. It's not only getting to the marketing team and say, okay, we are going to grow our email list, but we are not going to place a specific number. That's not, that's nothing. It's like the chart of intentions, but it's not eventually a very specific objective. What is the revenue expected to have by the end of the year? It's something that you are going to eventually to place as well. Is your email marketing more, in this case, for instance, imagine a flower shop doesn't eventually need just to sell flowers online. You just, sometimes you have an objective and a strategy to build up is your brand and not eventually the sales by email. So it's something that you need to define here on this step. It's the objectives that you are going to define. And when you are going to define the objectives, one of the things that it's very interesting to understand is sometimes we place the objectives here visible, like increase sales by the 25% or something like that. But we don't care about all of the other touch points beneath. Like, for instance, the tools that we need, the resources that we need, for instance, a good email platform that it's going to have automation in order to understand what it's going to be the topic of interest from our audience, and how I'm going to place a dynamic email that it's going to be adapted to every interest of my audience. So that's something that we need to implement before getting to increase the sales. Also, the corporate alignment, it's something that usually it's not taken care of, and it's very important, because if all of the marketing and the sales department is not aligned with the strategy that you are implementing for email marketing, it's not going to work that much, because they are not expecting to have some part of impact on this objective as well. On the other hand, for instance, the content, which is something that you need to integrate. It's something that you need to get from the rest of the marketing strategy, because you are going to use some of the content which is from the blog, which is from the social media content that you are providing as well. But most of the time, the email needs to have a special copy. It's not something that you are going to just use that part of the copy, and in this case that you are repurposing the content that you have on other channels, but you need also to have special design copy to the email in order to really take advantage of the channel. Okay, and then to fine-tune everything. So this is some of the points that you need to address, but it's not everything. For every objective that you are going to align, you need to understand what's beneath what it's seen, and what you need to implement on your strategy in order to get to where you want to be. So one of the frameworks, again, that can help you to achieve that, it's, for instance, the scale framework. This is something that you can implement to understand what it's, why are these objectives being set, basically what you need to achieve. What are the business objectives and goals is your email marketing contributing to? Because this is very important, because if you are just aligning objectives for the email marketing as an abstract of everything that you do on marketing strategy, yes, it's interesting because you are going to have some results, because email marketing, even sometimes, even when it's bad and when it doesn't is well implemented, even so it brings results, and that's one of the things that email gets a bad reputation. It's because of that. So that if you integrate the objectives that you have on email marketing with the whole holistic approach of the marketing strategy for the brand, it's much more powerful. And the audience as well is who are you hoping to engage? Be specific. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide, so I'm not going to approach that much. Also, the overall numerical, the performance target, again, to place numbers where you are going to grow and how you are going to grow. It's very important to understand that. And also the set deadlines. Otherwise, you are just trying to reach those goals. But if you don't set up a deadline, you are postponing and you are procrastinating a lot instead of doing what you say it needs to be done. Okay, so let me just pass here. So another point is the reach. So we need to understand deeply who our customer is, okay? Their tastes, the behaviors, interests, and this is very important to understand how we are going to send relevant emails, okay? That's the key phrase here. Relevant emails for them to receive. And what kind of message and tone of voice do they prefer? Are they a seasonal buyer, a regular one? This is something that we need to address on this point on your strategy. And to help you with that, this is the most common audience segmentation that we can use. It's the geographical one, which is where they live, and that can affect entirely how we are going to interact with our audience, because for instance, I'm in Portugal and it's still very much in the morning, and for the rest of the participants, I guess it's already lunch or something like that, and it's something that we need to address that when we are implementing also the newsletter. The behavioral as well, it's something that it needs to be something that the email marketing platform needs to also understand, which is the preferences, the choices that the people are making. Like, for instance, they are demonstrating, they are very much interested on, for instance, the daisies and not the roses, in this case, the flower shop. So if we understand that, we are going to give them more relevant messages for them. The demographic as well, it's obviously to understand what kind of audience do you have. It's someone that it's going to be able to afford a large basket of flowers, or it's something that it's going to be very seasonal, like, for instance, just for the Mother's Day or something like that. It's something that we need to understand what is the demographic of our audience, and also the psychographic analysis of our audience as well, because some of our subscribers, they can, for instance, consider the one thing that most of the people might consider a luxury. They feel that it's a basic need, for instance. So to understand this kind of mentality, it's very important to then prepare the copy and the message to get the best results. For main types of targeting, obviously, most of the email marketing that we see out there, it's still on the very first one, the mass one. It's sending bulk emails, the same for everyone, and that's what most of the email marketers out there are doing. And there's other strategies in this case that we need to think about. Like, for instance, if it's aimed for different groups within the market based on factors like age, location, etc., it's differentiated, and we can set segments for that. Also, on the niche of our audience, it's aimed for instance, at smaller specialized segments of your target market. This is also important not only for our own list, but where we are going to find our new subscribers when we are preparing the campaigns to get more subscribers. And it's very interesting to understand what it's going to be the main types of targeting that you can do to make your message the pop-up. And then the micro, it's the ultimate goal that we should think about. It's when we have a conversation one-to-one with someone. It's the primary function. Like the Radek mentioned, we are human to human, even on B2B. So we need to have this kind of approach, and every email and every message that we send should be like a one-to-one conversation. So this is the 4 main types of targeting that you need to address as well. Another thing, it's one of the most used methods out there. It's to use the personas. It's to basically to find out what are usually the types of audience that we need to address and we like to have on our brand and consuming our content. Using that and to really define which is going to be each of the personas, it's going to be much easier for you to develop the copy to be relevant for each one of them. So it's like talking to a real person. So it's going to help you on the copy, on the conversion strategy, how you are going to engage with these people, where they are navigating and browsing, and then to get them as a subscriber of your list. So it's it's one of the great methods to find out. Let me just see if I'm under the time. Yeah, I guess so. So the other point, it's the awareness, and it's when we start to plan our campaigns. Okay, so using again the flower shop example, it's which resources you'll need to carry it out, what products will you promote, which audience will get each communication. So it's basically when you start planning your campaign. And one of the things that you can use to accomplish that is using the famous 7 Ps. So the product, the place, the price, the promotion, the people, process, and physical evidence. So this is the marketing mix. Obviously, most of you already have known about this, but this is something that you need to apply on the planning of your campaign as well. So how it's going to be the product implemented. The product could be something that, for instance, it's the one of the services that you have. In this case, the flower shop, it's, for instance, one of the packages that you are going to promote, a package like a vase with some flowers or something like that. I'm trying to imagine a product on a flower shop. The place where you are going to communicate this on multi-channel, it doesn't need to be just on email marketing. Again, it's not a silo. It's something that you are also talking about on your website, on flyers, on a lot of things. And then your email marketing, it's also the playing your a part, a very important part, but it's something that needs to be addressed within all of the strategy. Then the price, how you are going to place the price in order to be the psychologically interesting. For instance, instead of saying that it's the 30 euros, it's going to be the 29.9 euros or something like that. So it's something that you need to see how you are going to place everything. Also the promotion, what it's going to be the trigger, what it's going to be motivating all of your audience to embark in this promotion. Also the people, employees, management, culture, everything takes a big responsibility on all of this. And also the process. For instance, using the flower shop example, how is the buying process of flowers? What they do? It's, for instance, if they do if they receive an email, what they are going to do usually, they go to the physical store, or they could buy online and deliver in the next day. What usually is the process? Because it's very important to understand all of that. Otherwise, you are just doing an email and oblivious to the world. Let me just paste the other. Okay. Now I'll give you a more tangible example. Okay. For instance, where is your audience hanging out? For instance, when we are trying to get more subscribers to our list, we need to understand where our ideal audience are. For instance, on subreddit forums, getting ideas on the best flowers for their spouses, or searching forums, or on specific websites about flowers. Where are they? We need to understand where are they, and to answer the question, what's in it for me? Because most of us are very selfish, and we don't do a thing unless we have some kind of reward. And in this case, we need to understand how is your subscription message appealing to your audience. Okay, you need to understand what you are getting or sending as value for them to subscribe to your list. Then you need to place your pieces. So for instance, the pop-ups, the landing pages, the forms that you are going to have, they need to work. And even on the offline world, you can have like an iPad on the stand of the flower shop, and people go there and they can subscribe immediately there. On events, for instance, it can be done like that. You need to understand. That's why it's very important to understand your audience and how they are going to process. Also, to start a conversation, prepare immediately the welcome process of automatic emails. One thing, in this case, for instance, it's like, okay, the people subscribe, and now you need to say what it's different from your brand, from the rest of the other brands, what your brand stands for, what is the purpose of your brand, and to get them to really like your brand and going to be like a fan of your brand as well. Then you need to understand how you are going to launch your campaign, reach your ideal audience, where they hang out, and especially to stand out your unique value proposition. Okay. Then the numbers, are you getting a return of investment from your campaign or not? Are your numbers hitting the right marks to continue? We need to analyze that on the last point, and then to understanding what went well and what needs to be updated. It's how you are going to win. For another point, it's the tactics. In this case, we are going to use the tactics and to place the strategy that we have in mind. We are going to apply it using the right the tactics, and using again the flower shop example. It's which the channels should I use, okay, to gather more subscribers. How are some channels impacting others in performance? And this is some of the questions that you can ask. Then there's a ton of possibilities that you can do to make acquisition of new subscribers. For instance, using the easiest of them all, the pay-per-click, using a campaign to which is going to englobe a myriad of options like search engines, the paid search, the clicks, social media, video content ads, etc. You're going to use the budget that you have for this to get new subscribers. Affiliate marketing is something that still works for getting to get subscribers, especially if you do affiliate marketing in the right way. For instance, to select a niche targets of websites that are going to provide the right audience for you. The PR marketing, it's very interesting as well, because I use this as an advertorial content. For instance, you place your content on other media, that it's going to leverage your branding, and it's going to implement much more awareness about your brand, and then get more people to address. And also the sponsored niches, okay, which is like this one in this case that we are using, webinars, niche blogs, podcasts, whatever. It's something that you can use that to get more subscribers. In fact, every time that I speak on webinars, or do a video, or participate with others on interviews, usually I get more subscribers on my list by natural. I'm not pitching my newsletter, but sometimes I'm going to, every time that I show up, I get more subscribers. Content marketing, obviously, it's one of the main ones that we need to get every time, because it's going to provide a consistent flow of new subscribers. Social media, even on good organic channels like on LinkedIn, the personal profiles are still very much alive, and it's something that you can use to get more subscribers. The best one of the channels is the word of mouth. When we ask for our own subscribers or clients to speak about our brand and to get more clients or more subscribers. And one of the one of the tactics that I use very much, it's the email signatures that most of the brands doesn't use. It's something that every the professional in a brand can use the email signatures to get more subscribers to the list, because they are already engaging with the potential clients or already clients, and then it's a way for them to have a link and for them to subscribe. And it's one of the best conversion ones, but most of the times it's not used for that. Okay, so one of the things that we need to do is to stand out, and to do that we need to have or to provide a sense of privilege. So when you are going to share some campaign, please don't repurpose too much your content. What I mean is, if you don't give something of value and something that they are not going to have on other channels, it's something that they are not going to think about as a sense of privilege. It's not something that they are going to find very interesting. So it's very important to have some content that it's not going to be delivered on other way than your newsletter. The dynamic content is also very interesting, because you are going to apply every content that you are going to make using their interests. So it's going to be much more relevant for them. Again, the selfish part of everyone of the humanity, the people are selfish by nature. So we need to think about that when we are providing the content for the newsletters. Be unique. we have to have unique the perspective on your industry is vital to stand out, because if we are just repeating what everyone is saying, we are not standing out from the crowd. So we need to stand up for something. We need to have a message that it's different from the other competitors. Also, to be consistent, we need to be constantly providing this kind of quality content that's going to leverage on reputation for you. And also the value, if we send them emails, they need to find it valuable. That's the only reason they are going to stick around. If for instance, I'm reading every day the emails by the Seth Godin, it's because I find it valuable. It's something that is always providing something that it's making us think. Okay, so it's something that you need to address on your email marketing strategy. So and one of the other points is the execution. It's now that you're starting to implement your marketing strategy into the real world, and there are some things that you need to take care. For instance, the brand's tone of voice, you need to apply it on every communication that you do, not only on the email marketing, but everything that you do. The brand guidelines need to match everything like that, because if you are not going to use all of these the same approach, you are going to feel like an amateur. It's not a brand that it gets this recognition about being professional. So you need to be consistent on this kind of things, like the brand guidelines, brand's tone of voice, etc. We need to make it usable. In this case, we need to, everyone in the team or in the company needs to understand how they are going to use all of these brand guidelines. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste. Roles and responsibilities also need to be very considered. For instance, who's responsible to send the email marketing? Who's responsible for instance, to approve the message that was is about to be sent. Also, we need to respect the channels to make most of the time when I receive the campaign from my clients, it's basically an image, Photoshop image that was sent with the flyer they use for everything. So we need to then understand that in an email, it's not a flyer. It's not just placing an image that it's all cut out and it's going to work as a flyer. No, it needs to respect the channel. It needs to have a specific layout and structure and a good coding in order to function on the channel. And then to use the strap lines to the rest. Strap lines, it's for instance on Zopli, it's the Spark Your Brand. It's something that we use as almost like a claim, and it's the claim that it's going to make everything that we do on our brand function as that. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It's just something that we send out there, and it's not going to apply to the entire brand. It's going to lack effectiveness. Okay, so the key focus areas in this case that we need to address is, for instance, the messaging. We need to think about what we are trying to say, okay? What's the process of getting this message across? This is something that we need to really think about. The channels that we are going to use, if it's going to be the PPC to get more subscribers or something integrated with the campaign itself, email marketing, affiliates, websites, etc. Then on the action, we need to draw up the schedule to implement all of our tactics. It's like a calendar with everything that needs to be done by the deadlines. Otherwise, it's going to miss out, or some of the strategies that you've implemented are not going to work that much. So the resources as well, what you need in order to put your plan into action, because you are going to elaborate a very complex plan, and then you don't have the necessary means to accomplish that. So it's something that you need to have that in mind. And the roles and responsibilities, it's also very important for every single tactic that you are planning to use. For instance, if you have someone that is going to be the one that are going to give the okay for the email, okay, that's the main one that you have to define that kind of person. If it's someone that it's going to be the one that is going to deliver the design for the message, then it's another one. So you need to define the roles and responsibilities for every single tactic that you are going to use. Then this is an action plan to increase the subscription. In this case, I've used this example as something that you could use, but it's just an example. There's a lot of other action plans that you can implement, but this one could work for your objective of increasing subscriptions. Like I've said previously, you can use the paid advertising, like place a budget, start and end dates, the deadlines, and the channels that you are using, social media content as well. For the entire year of content planning, you have some posts that you are going to do just to increase subscriptions on the newsletter. The website as well, what triggers you'll be activating, such as CTAs, pop-ups, etc. Email marketing can be, for instance, a partnership with non-competitor brands on your market that has the same audience, and you can do a partnership and they speak about you on their newsletter and you speak about them on your newsletter. So it's something that you can leverage because they have the same audience that you want, but sometimes it's a way for you to do that without wasting a lot of money on that. SEO, it's always something that you can leverage as well in order to have a flow of more subscribers to your list, and the PR as well, like in this case, participating in webinars, podcasts, articles, whatever, to promote your newsletter as well. Again, so originally on the book, okay, there's 4 stages of email marketing. I've added a new one because it's implemented on the last one, which is to be reported, but I wanted for this presentation to detach these and to be more clear about that. So let's run this over. Like for me, there are 5 stages of email marketing. One is the to be seen, like everything that Erkki and the Tanel has mentioned about how it's going to be landed on the subscribers inbox, the successful, or in this case, it's more about the Radek the presentation. It's the to be seen. It's to be delivered on the inbox and to check the hard and soft bounces when into the subscription process. Then it's to be open, it's to be seen. Okay, in this case, it's everything about what was the first presentation of today. So are the subject line and pre-headers optimized? Are you using automation, segmentation, timing, etc.? That it's going to help you to be more seen, in this case, to be open. Then to be engaged with, is your content relevant? Is your template and design working for your audience? This is something that obviously it's also very important. But then you have to be reported when you are reviewing complaints and subscribe rates, analyze results. And this is very fine, and this is usually the 4 stages of email marketing. But I want to highlight the final one, which is be learning, which is to not only to analyze what went through everything, but also to really understand what's happening with your list and what you are going to learn from everything that you are going to prepare. So it's something that you need to really address that as well. And this is another framework that you can use to make the best use of that. It's the educate, awareness, interest, desire, action, and loyalty. It's the EADO model. And to every single one of these frameworks, it helps you to have some kind of plan or a schematic that you can use to really take advantage of every single one of these points. So this is one that you should address as well. It's something that you can see and go through a bit more. So we come to almost the end of the presentation. It's just to address 2 of the main most important one, to analyze all of the results. For instance, the tracking the results that we need, it's to understand what are going to be the, in this case, you already have defined the KPIs. This is to understand if we are meeting all of the KPIs that we have done or not. Are we tracking everything about our campaign's performance? Are we measuring results and response? And this is something that we can turn all of this data into insights. And to have all of this, we need to define, obviously, on the first part of the strategy, we already have defined the benchmarks. So if we don't have benchmarks of our industry or our competitors, it's going to be very difficult to understand if we are having good success or not. And also to have non-subjective KPIs, it's also very important, because if we have KPIs that are not going to match with the objectives that you have implemented at first, it's not going to be useful as a whole for your email marketing strategy. Also, the consistency of everything that you are going to do, it's very important, because you need to understand what it's going to be compared, because you can't compare something that you are not doing on a consistently basis. Because if you are monitoring a campaign that you sent on November against one from May, it's not a very good comparison, because it's a very different context, and you can see, you can't see a very trend line about everything that we are doing. Also, the align objectives, it's to match your data numbers with the objectives set within your strategy. It's the basically the main importance of everything that we are doing on analyzing results. If you don't match all of this data with the objectives that you've set, it's not going to state that it worked or not. Then understanding this data, this is just an example. Okay, this is something that we can, all of us, do when we see the result of an email marketing campaign. We can look at the data, and then we need to understand what that transmits to us. For instance, when we have a high the click-through rate, it means obviously that the content is relevant, it's interesting enough for our audience. But when we have an high open rate and a low CTR, it can mean, like, for instance, we have sent someone that the subject line was very interesting, but then the content has not matched with the subject line. So it's very important to understand all of the data that we are collecting, and try not to be very very delayed on the presentation. So if I'm delaying too much, let me know. There's a lot of these kind of insights of analyzing all of these results that can provide us some things that it can help us do something to improve the results. For instance, when we have an unusual spam complaint, it's a clear demonstration they don't recognize your brand, or it might indicate your unsubscribe button isn't highlighted enough. That's one of the reasons, for instance, that many brands have opted to place unsubscribe button above all of the newsletter, because it's easier for anyone to go there and click immediately on the unsubscribe instead of clicking on the spam button. So it can be a strategy for you, especially when your brand is still not very well recognized, or you are delaying a lot of time between emails and people already forgot that they subscribe to you. So this is some of the things that you can then understand about the data that you are collecting. And the final point of the today, it's to analyze your strategy success. It's when you are going to collect all of the data, to analyze everything, and then you have like a report that it's going to say, okay, now you are getting to the objectives or not, the strategy is getting the goals that you wanted to achieve or not. So using again the flower shop example, it's you're using the latest click activity to create more segments. So you are collecting all of this data, and now you are making use of that data to improve the next strategy that you are going to implement. Okay. So the last one that I'm going to place here. So it's some points, 4 points that I want to highlight for you to think about when you are analyzing everything about the data, okay? This is something that I find very important for you to have in mind. Just compare what's comparable. What I mean by this is you can't, for instance, if you send a campaign that it's all about content and brand purpose, you can't then compare that with one that it's all about the CTA. It's all about the performance. Because if you are placing these kind of campaigns inside of the same report, you are going to see some trends that it's not going to be very useful as a data insight. So you need to compare what it's really comparable. Another concern, it's about the data sources match. In this case, you need to see if it's the same activity metric, because imagine that you are using a platform that it's defining the CTO, the click to open, as for instance, on clicks that was done for unique opens instead of the total of uniques, and then you are going to match with another data that it's doing the same metric but aligning with unique opens. It's going to be a mess, and it's not going to give you a real sense of the data. So it's very important to have the data sources matching this. Human error, it's something that I still, for me, I still do a lot of errors in my life. It's the only way that I'm learning, it's by doing mistakes. So if we have that in mind, we need to double check if everything is well connected between platforms, CRM, etc., in order to measure all of the results. Possibly if there's something missing, we are not getting the whole picture. Also, the context, we need to also have an idea about the context of what we are analyzing. One good example is if we are measuring the year 2019 against the the last year about the pandemic, we are not getting the context right. So we are making assumptions and about the results that we are getting that is not very accurate against the context of what we are measuring. So when we are measuring something, please use context to understand what you are seeing, okay? And finally, your marketing without strategy is like traveling without knowing where you end up. So I like to go on a trip, but I know I like to know where I'm going to end up. So this is something that with marketing, it should also be like that. So it's something that I'm going to leave you with this and see if there are some questions, because I was not seeing that with the presentation open. Sorry.
Thank you, Rui.
Super cool.
Cool.
There is a question, what are the differences, or are there any in email marketing between business to customer and business to business, especially if you're marketing industrial solutions with a premium price tag and that the client won't buy before seeing them in action, for example, live demo? Actually, I think the problem here is not differences between business to customer and business to business, but the products or services that you are offering are probably meant to business or business to customer, and they won't attract the other part of the clients. But if you have like products with premium price tag, then anyway it's one-to-one communications, probably more sales than marketing. Probably a live demo is a must every time. That the client acquisition cost is a lot higher if you are, for example, in retail, like a supermarket. Then you have thousands of customers. You just send them, if possible, personalized emails, and well, that's it. And they might be business to business or business to customer. That doesn't matter that way. So I think that it depends what you are selling the most.
Yeah, I'll also add that, for instance, with I try to do the opposite on my case of what I'm doing with my clients. For instance, on my businesses, which are completely B2B, I try to be as difficult as possible for them to subscribe. It's a real pain, really, to subscribe to my newsletters. And the reason was, because all of these subscribers, it's a very small list, but they provide much more value eventually than, for instance, a very big list on a B2C consumer business. Because it's very, it's about the price tag, and eventually, for instance, on a B2B, you have a monthly fee, and the lifetime value that you get from a client, it's completely different from a B2C. And that's, I guess, it's the main reason for B2B email marketing. It's so interesting, and I love to work with clients on that perspective, because it's not about the number. It's what you get from the conversions that you get from this kind of clients.
There is a Lisa's question that, or did you already answer it? Sorry.
Oh, no, yeah. Lisa would be curious to know what are, in your opinion, Rui, the most common mistakes that you witnessed with clients launching a new campaign?
Oh, okay. The most common mistakes, it's they launch a campaign because they want to send something to their list without thinking about what is the goal, what they want to achieve, what they want to receive, what is the objective of that email, and especially what is the value they are delivering on the email. So they are just checking the box and try to get an email every month. And that's especially the main mistake that I see from most of email marketers, or in this case brands. It's kind of annoying to say that it's email marketers and then they don't do email marketing. They just send emails in bulk. But in this case, yeah, it's the main mistake that I see. It's when they don't have a plan, they don't implement a strategy, and they are just sending email for the sake of sending email. And like I said on the presentation before, the problem with email marketing, it's even when it's bad done, it's still getting results. So that's something that it's kind of annoying.
Anyway, I don't know. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys again for joining. Oh, I have a story. I have a friend who worked at Amazon Germany. He was one of 200 in email marketing department, and probably he knows all of this that we talked about. Well, okay, at least the department knows everything that we talked about. But for small businesses that usually do email marketing, well, this might be a little bit overwhelming, as we talked about at the beginning of this webinar. So I hope that everyone who participated or who is going to view it on the YouTube channel later is going to find something interesting and insightful for them, starting from the tactics that we talked about, and also technical aspects that Radek explained. And maybe even some people are so smart and try to find a good strategy before going to the tactics that Rui explained. So that usually is the problem I see on our client side too, that the strategy comes, if it comes, then it comes later.
Yeah.
As it was today.
Or does it come at all?
Or it doesn't come at all. But we learn every day something new, and I think next time we will learn even more.
Even more, exactly.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you again, and see you next time.